What's good, family? Today we finna do a trade recap of the last trade that I took on Nas 100 and why I actually took the trade. So listen, to start the week, I already had my own markup for Nas 100, which I could show you exactly what I was seeing. Basically, let's just imagine all of this never happened. So to start the week, if we look on the left side, Nas 100 clearly has a 4-hour fair value gap, which is right here. Now, with this 4-hour fair value gap, I was definitely waiting on this to come up in here to actually get this so I could actually find me an entry. Now, we end up starting the week off from Sunday to going all the way up into this area. Now, of course, this is on a 4-hour time frame. So when we go down, this is basically what I see. Now we end up coming into this 4-hour fair value gap right up in here. And if you know anything about 4-hour fair value gaps, then you know that is something that you could start taking entries on. And if you don't, now you know. Listen, you could take nice entries off of fair value gaps. A lot of times you can get sniper entries. So simply because of this, we end up buying off from this bottom, which if we look on the left side, is actually the low of these it's the low of this market from like the past, like what was that basically a while ago. And we basically just bought off from there, came up into that 4-hour fair value gap, and that's where I started looking for my entries. So when we come into this area, honestly, when you get fair value gaps, you could really start taking entries at the 50% mark, which on this one, I did not take an entry right off of the 50% mark simply because it was a 4-hour fair value gap. So I kind of gave it some room to kind of see what it'll do. So on this 4 hour, we end up coming in, we tap this 50% right here, retest it all the way down here, and then we end up coming way back up in here and basically reaching this top. And this, I didn't really start seeing that this had really like hit this far fair value gap until we started having like this structure right here. So when I looked at the chart and I started seeing this stuff going on right here, we got the market start to turn around. We got a candle with no wick, which this is called a Marbozu candle. If you're not familiar with it, it gives you two signals. Either it's a signal that the market will turn around, or it's a signal that it will reverse. So since it was in this buy trend and we got a very nice Marbozu, that was a signal of it turning around. Plus, it was engulfing, which simply means when it sold off, it cleared up three of these candles, which makes this also a bearish engulfing candle as well as a Marbozu candle. So that's a good sign for a reverse. Now, right here, we end up coming up, giving us this structure, giving us lower highs, and from there I started looking for entries. Once I seen that, I was like, okay, well, I'm looking for an entry. So me personally, I ended up getting in, if I'm not mistaken, like right here. This where I had ended up grabbing my entry, and let's see, I ended up popping my entry about right here. I had my stop loss about right above this, and I was targeting the next fair value gap that I actually seen, which if we zoom out, hold on. If you zoom out on here on the 4-hour time frame, because again, I took a 4-hour fair value gap. So we zoom out on the 4-hour time frame, we literally made another fair value gap, like just going up. So this was where I basically took my profit at, or at least that was my take profit entry or take profit position. And literally from up there to down there, that's where I was looking to basically get my money in that. So from here, no, actually it was on the 1 hour. It wasn't the 4 hour. It was the 1 hour. Because again, you could, well, if you could see, we also got a fair value gap right here on the 1 hour. So I end up basically taking this on the 1 hour fair value gap and came from up there My position was the 50% mark on this fair value gap. And boom, that's literally how I was able to grab the last trade that I had taken, which was on Nas 100, which was a little bit after market open. So now you could clearly see that off of this fair value gap, this was literally just a straight sell. Like not really much drawdown for real, for real. It was a tad bit drawdown simply because of where I entered, but it wasn't really much. So we end up coming in. Let me make sure all of that is right. Yeah, we basically end up coming in. We basically had pushed up a little bit more. And when we pushed up, I'm gonna be honest, I did take a second sale simply because I seen that we were in the 4 hour fair value gap. So it gave me confidence to actually like take more than one position on here. And honestly, I just held this. So I ended up taking this from this 4 hour fair value gap to this 1 hour fair value gap, which it did take a couple hours. But this is simply how I was able to identify my previous sale that I ended up catching, which was literally off of fair value gaps. And I just waited on this. So for anybody that you knew you don't know too much about trading, this is how I personally identify trades when I'm actually taking trades, whether I'm buying or I'm selling. And this is how I was able to take my last trade. Now, that's all that I did. I identified the 4 hour fair value gap. I ended up popping my trade like right here. Market pushed up a little bit. Again, we had another fair value gap literally like right here. And then I end up just taking another entry right up in here, and I just rolled this down. Like I literally just rolled it out and just waited on it to come down here and hit this 50% mark. And that's how I was able to take the last trade that I took on Nas 100. And for anybody that did take a Nas 100 trade, then I'm pretty sure you made some money on this as well. And yeah, that's that. I simply wanted to show you how I was able to identify and take my last trade that I took. So I'm gonna see y'all in the next one.